want to say up front that I do believe and experience the concept of soul family as true. That individuals may feel a certain strong connection to others that go beyond this one lifetime. I also believe and experience as true that some individuals may have a pre-incarnational agreement to meet and perhaps to relate and work together with another in some form. This agreement can perhaps relate to birthing star children or to some other form of service. Saying that, I feel that much that has been spoken about the twin flame connection is delusional and perhaps even harmful. Before we dive too deeply into this subject, let's look at the general idea of twin flames. The general idea is that twin flames are the two halves of a soul found in two separate individuals. And this is why there is such an intense connection that can feel unearthly when these two halves meet. A characteristic of such a connection is that it's challenging and healing. But due to the mirroring nature of the twin flame connection, there can be a deep and intense chemistry and love. This mirroring can also reflect each other's deepest insecurities, fears, and shadows. Let me just say that many years ago I attended a talk on twin flames. I think it was around 2008. And the essence of the talk was that 144,000 souls had agreed to meet their twin flame in this lifetime. And that when all the meetings had been accomplished, there would be a major event, the birthing of the new age of Aquarius. There were mentioned some processes that twin flames had to do with each other to complete the union. I cannot remember all the details, but at the time I remember I was rather taken with the idea. And I had a look around while writing this piece, and I found on the Goop website something on twin flames which goes, if finding a soulmate is like finding the one, then discovering your twin flame is the discovery of oneness. A twin flame is the other half of your soul, so there is only one. You share the same consciousness. Your twin flame is frequently a romantic partner, though that is not necessarily the focus of the relationship. Twin flames are true power couples. Their lives may be public, they may make change through their celebrity or by creating wide-reaching service organizations, or they may quietly go about doing the essential work required for collective wellness, like being foster parents or taking an active role in a religious or civic organization. However they commit to work, twin flames are aligned in their mission and committed to something larger than themselves. That's from the Goop website. Goop as in G-O-O-P. There's another aspect to this whole subject worth mentioning, and this is the idea that we can meet a true twin flame as well as a false twin flame. The idea goes that a false twin flame is someone who can manufacture this deep mirroring and deep connection, and they may do this by pretending to share your values and interests. So in researching for this piece, I looked at the history of the twin flame idea, and it looks like the origins may go back to ancient Greece and perhaps ancient Sumeria, but really the recent popularity of the idea probably dates back to the 1970s and to the work of Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who became the leader of the Summit Lighthouse in the Church Universal and Triumphant. And her work became more public with the publication of the book Soulmates and Twin Flames, the spiritual dimension of love and relationships. On a personal note, I feel I went through the journey myself. I met someone as a client in 2009, an American woman living in Ireland. In 2010, 2010, she arranged a workshop for me in Ireland, and that was the beginning of something that would blossom many months later. I did feel in Ireland a very intense connection. I felt such an intense connection, but did not say anything until she mentioned she felt it also later on. The intensity of this connection and the chemistry was strong for both of us, and there were many signs that this was quite an unusual connection. For instance, I had a dream that we were married by the angels. This was just one of the signs. It was strange because at the time there was this intense pull, but there was also a lurking sense of danger about the connection. And when I meditated upon it, it seemed that I had no choice but to face the connection. There were soul gifts there that I had to look at. The honeymoon phase lasted a few months, and I felt something deep inside my soul stir. Then eventually she went back to Texas. We corresponded for a while over Skype, text and email. Then in January 2012, I went to Texas, and the relationship sparked up again. We visited a coffee shop together while I was there, and as we were waiting for the drinks, I picked up what looked like a children's book on the table I was sitting at. I read it and was amazed that it seemed to exactly describe the twin flame journey. I must say the journey ended rather dramatically a few months later, but I've written about this journey in my book Personal Transition, so I don't need to go over that. But generally the experience could be described as overwhelming, magnetic and divinely orchestrated, but it also led me to a dark night of the soul experience which lasted for 6 years. In 2016, I came out of the dark night and received a strong message from Spirit to begin this work of assisting starseeds in their awakening and ascension. Since that time, I've worked with hundreds of individuals as clients, and some felt they were on the twin flame journey. Over the past 6 years, I've noticed recurring patterns that's hard to ignore, particularly since some of it seems to reflect much of my own experience. Much of the twin flame delusion revolves around the romantic side of the connection. The general pattern, though I must emphasize this is just a general pattern, not a universal truth, is that woman meets man. There's an intense chemistry and soul connection, a honeymoon period, and then often the man disappears, perhaps even entering into a relationship with another, and this leaves the other half of the twin flame left pining. Sometimes it works out the other way, but mostly it plays out this way. Woman meets man, man disappears. What I tell all of my clients in this journey is that if the twin flame comes as catalyst, they make poor, if not impossible, marriage material. It must be remembered that the prime directive of the soul is growth, and the twin flame connection is not about fulfilling any happy ever after fantasy. The planet is in transition and there's much to do. True service can only happen to the extent the starseeds awaken to their true nature, and this intense connection is there to wake starseeds up. This is the true soul's agenda. I've spoken with clients who resist this idea. Even when the desired partner has left, married someone else, there's still the idea that they will return. The thinking goes, if only I heal enough, if only I clear enough, they will return. I also bought into this idea for a time. I had one recent client who dated someone for 2 weeks, and then 15 years later, they're still tormented. this way of thinking can keep a starseed stuck, of course, in self-blame. The thinking may go something like, what if I'm not awakened enough, light enough, healed enough, good enough in connection? There may be a deep sense of failure about the outcome of the connection. Now, whatever the connection is, what absolutely matters are the deep connection. There's a general pattern to meeting. They come to touch you deeply, perhaps in a way no one has connected with you before. They come to reflect something about your multidimensional nature. The American woman I met on this journey reflected my current journey now in many ways. At the time, I did not have the courage to do what I'm doing now. I would often look at her and admire her deep courage, her humour, and the adventure she was on. This connection was really revealing to me gifts and qualities I did not feel I possessed at the time. It mirrored a life that I was afraid to truly live at that time. If you have evolved into the great twin flame delusion, there may be the thought that you're meant to be together throughout all eternity with this person. You may have the thought that you come about only when you're completely healed, whole, and so on. You know you've been caught up in the great twin flame delusion if there's a sense of ongoing anxiety or insecurity around this connection. If there's some pattern of push or pull where one side backs away or disappears or perhaps comes forward or vice versa. There may be a pattern of blowing hot and cold, perhaps a pattern of one side over-promising and under-delivering. At the beginning, it may seem that the love between you is unconditional, but you soon discover that this is an illusion and the love between you is very conditional. You may feel in some form of limbo with this person. Perhaps there's some game playing with you and they do not stick around when the going gets tough. This connection tends to have no staying power. The most common pattern, as already mentioned, is that one side breaks off the connection, leaving the other heartbroken and pining. Sometimes it's just a friendship and nothing more, but still the pattern runs. There's an intense desire for physical union or a deeper connection. Perhaps not even a word has been spoken between you. Again, the intense pining can occur when they go away. There may be some practical factors in the way of a relationship going anywhere. Perhaps the sexual orientation is not right. I've heard from a couple of clients that they're waiting for their twin flames to realise their true orientation so they can come back and reunite. There may be family commitments that get in the way. In my own journey, I did consider living in the States, but to be honest, when I visited Houston, Texas, I really did not see myself living there. I had two young granddaughters living in the UK at the time, and leaving them felt quite French. This connection will tend to bring out the deepest